What's happening, forum? Last time I made every echidna in Sonic as an excuse to not make the Nickelodeon video. Guess what? It's gonna take a while to make another 3-hour long video retrospective ranking whatever the fuck. So let's make this a new thing. It's time to go through every fox in Sonic.
I wanna fly high so I can reach the highest of all the heavens.
First off, there is Miles Tails Prower, Sonic's best buddy and probably one of my favorite characters in the franchise. Maybe not all-time favorite, cause you really can't beat Mighty and Ray, who are just prototype Sonic and Tails. But Tails is probably a top 5 if anything. I like seeing the evolution of a little buddy becoming his own person as an inventor, which happened in his story during Avenger the First. I like his charming design, the fact that he has a YouTube show, a Mega Man canon, and not one, not two, but 3 spin-off games. Sure, you can argue they're not good, but I don't care because none of these games have the Witch card and the Battle Lord Cuckoo. Other than that, I just like him because he's so cute. Look at him. Daww. 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 I'm not gonna get that deep into this, but I think a lot of fans really hate Tails. Like how some Sonic parodies depict Sonic characters is a little exaggerated, but I've always believed that Tails is always 180. He's either a murdering psychopath or just a jealous asshole. Like sometimes it works and other times it's masked and dorkly. I know that Sonic games don't have the Shakespeare level of writing and Tails' fumbled character depiction has come off very weird at times, but I'd rather have that than whatever this is. Sorry, I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's talk about some doppelgangers. Not counting versions of him from TV shows, movies, comics, Choose Your Own Avenger books, and Captain Super Foxman the Mutant Cyborg clone. That's just a self-insert OC. Not even his Boom version, because unlike Knuckles, Main and Boom are almost identical. Also his Lightmobius future version, where he hooked up with Mina Mongoose and became father to Sky and Melody Prower. Sky does count, but Melody barely does, even though she's a hybrid, which is both rare and common in the Sonic franchise. What the fuck is Ixis Naugus? But anyway, back to doppelgangers. Jesus Christ, does this guy ever shut the fuck up and get to the point of this video? Like most of them, they are just Tails from different timelines, time periods, and mirror dimensions with minor differences. There's prehistoric Tails, who is Tails' presumed ancestor, Elfin Tails, and more Tails, who are metafictional, but then there are versions of him that are completely different, like Tailsilla, Tails Up, and Anti-Miles. The latter one, who had some potential for future stories, but never got them for reasons. But those are just comic counterparts. When it came to the games, we had Alibaba and the Blacksmith, both very minor characters in the storybook games, and even sadder for the Black Knight, cause this Tails counterpart doesn't even get to be named after a character from the Arthurian legends. What, did you run out of Round Table Knights? Why is Jet the Hawk in this game? When it comes to TV shows, we went through Boom, which also has mirror counterparts, so we'll just go through Prime instead. There's Sails from the Nose Zone, Manji from the Boss Cage, and 9 from New York City. As I said in the last video, I think we only needed one of these new worlds. Like Sails and Manji are fine. I don't hate them, but I'm not gonna miss them. But in terms of 9, he's probably the best thing about the show in my opinion. He's the main antagonist of the show and has such an interesting dynamic with Sonic. We could have had more time with him rather than going back to Pirate World and Jungle World where I had to spend more time with Gnarly. But in the end, all of these doppelgangers don't compare to Doppelganger Tails, who is a perfect duplicate copy of Tails made by Mammoth Mogul, who is just Vandal Savage as a mammoth, so he could absorb Tails' energy and regain his chaos powers because RG Tails is the destined chosen one who would bring an end to the mad magic mammoth and bring stability to the world by bringing the Chaos Emeralds to the Zone of Silence. Comic books, everyone. This doppelganger had replaced regular Tails for a whole year in real life of comic book publishing, and in the end, as soon as Sonic found his little buddy, the fake doppelganger disintegrated with regular Tails waking up with no memories of what happened. Which must suck, cause real Tails wasn't there when fan favorite character Nate Morgans fucking died. Fun fact about Mammoth Mogul, his creator tried to gain ownership of him in court like how Penders did with his OCs. He lost that case, and quite frankly, why would you want to try own Elephant Savage? He sucks. Since I'm on a roll, let's go through some super forms.
Is to go even further beyond!
The reason I want to go through Tails' super forms is because there's much more to talk about and make a POC face over it. I didn't go through Knuckles' super forms, which are not that interesting. Like, there is the green one, the pink one, the one in the ball. We do have Super Tails, who barely changes color via the fact that he's yellow, but if we were to use the Super Emeralds, he can summon 4 Flickies, who also go Super Saiyan that can kill anything in sight. In the Archie comics, we have two whole exclusive transformations. There's Turbo Tails, which is just Tails putting on a red cloak, and Titan Tails, who is Tails on steroids. Let's hope he doesn't turn flappy later on and lie about it in an interview many years later. And to easily transition to the robot copies, there have been a handful of times when Tails has been made into a cyborg, like with Tailsnick, RoboFox, Tailsman. Also forgot to talk about Knucklesman, which I thought I would have talked about in the robot copy segment, but unfortunately I didn't. So fuck me, I guess. King of the Bebots. DC Cyborg and Mecha Tails. That's both the regular Tails turned into a mecha, and this Mecha Tails that was found in the Zone Jail. We don't know if that one is roboticized Tails or a robot copy, so this is the perfect transition. Just like with super forms, the robot counterparts are just as weird and POC face worthy. Like you have Metal Tails from Archie, who came way later after both Metal Sonic and Metal Knuckles, and a video game version, but came much more later. Cyborg Tails and Tailspot from Boomverse, but then we have 2 robots made by Tails who are modeled after him, which are all sorts of uncanny. There's Hypnobot from Boom and the remote robot from Tails Sky Patrol, renamed and redesigned as T-Pup in the Archie comics. But the most iconic, infamous, cursed, and overall weirdest one is the Tails doll, one of the earliest forms of video game creepypasta out there that was so popular that even its fanon depiction that got adapted into the Archie comics, which led to him turning into a giant vagina with teeth.
What the fuck?
This was such a drastic turn of event that it led the Archie comics to reboot. You know, as someone who was raised with Sesame Street, Muppets, and the Icelandic Muppets, Tails doll doesn't do that much for me, sorry. So that was Tails and all of his doppelgangers, perfect copies, super forms, and robots. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. No, wait. I forgot the rest of the boxes. Let's start with games, go to TV, and end with comics. Surprisingly, there are only 2 foxes in the games. They were first mentioned in Sonic 2 as being Tails' bullies who teased him for having 2 tails and got their asses handed to them by Sonic. It will only be adapted in one of the animated openings in Sonic Origins many years later, and in Sonic Prime. Ian Flynn once called them ugly and stupid as placeholder names, and until Sega says otherwise, I'll take the Ian's word over Sega. They're not the best when it comes to confirming lore facts. What do you mean money doesn't exist? Before Sonic Origins gave us the 2 ugly stupid fox bullies, Fleetway Comics and Sonic X would give us different versions of the bullies. Sonic X gave us 3 whole bullies, a monkey, a bear, and a singular fox, who bullied him for being a techno nerd, and Fleetway gave us 2 fox bullies, Withless Chris and Scratchy, who did bully him for his 2 tails, but unlike in the game where Sonic saved him from the bullying, Tails used his flying abilities to save the dumbasses from dying. Man, Fleetway Tails is badass. Moving on to the TV shows, we have our first fake foxes with fan-favorite Archie Sonic characters Sally Acorn, who is actually a squirrel, and Antoine Depatrouille, who is actually a coyote, who are only referred as foxes for Sonic SatAM in interviews and on Friends DVD boxes due to miscommunication. That means Sally's unnamed father, the King, is also a fox, and to think Knuckles the Mole was the weirdest misunderstanding of them all. So yeah, Sally and Antoine. Love them both. Maybe not much in SatAM though, but I love the King in SatAM. And Nigel Acorn. Not Max though. Fuck Max. Next up is Sonic Underground that has 3 whole foxes, and to be honest, me and Kurma watched the show together and I have literally forgotten almost everything about it. When it comes to the topic of this video, I remember Mindy Latour and her father, but who the fuck is Renee?
This is Renee. She leads the underground in NAs.
Ah, okay. I don't care. Okay, fuck this show. It can go to hell. I'd rather watch Transformers Energon again.
Later.
Last one in the TV section is Sui from Sonic Boom, who is Tails' girlfriend. Not much of note other than she's probably the most stable romantic relationship Tails has had, as opposed to Cosmo and Fiona. Speaking of... The only way I can start off the Archie segment is with Fiona Fox, the second most important fox next to Tails in the Archie comics. Her first appearance is weird, as it was actually a robot duplicate pretending to be her and hitting on Tails in his miniseries, which led to his crush on the real Fiona. It didn't end very well. While her real appearance was in the Knuckles series, where she revealed that she was a prisoner of Robotnik with Mighty and Ray, who both escaped with Sonic while she was left behind, due to many reasons, leading to her long arc of mistrust and not fitting alongside most of the main cast, and slowly devolving into becoming a villain where she cheated on Sonic. Oh yes, by the way, she was dating Sonic for a while, with Scourge the Hedgehog, an evil version of Sonic that Ken Penders owns but technically didn't make. There were many story potential with her, but like most of pre-reboot Archie, it got canned before we could do anything interesting. Just like Knuckles, Tails also has some extended family members, but thankfully there are only 3 as opposed to 300. There were his parents, Rosemary and Amadeus. Who unfortunately got separated from him during his birth, which led to Sonic raising Tails while they were saved by aliens before Robotnik could turn them both into robots. Could you imagine if Robotnik used his parents to psychologically fuck with Tails? Wouldn't that be fucked up? Thankfully, they got to come back after 8 years to reunite with their son and started a rebellion to overthrow the monarchy, which might have been a controversial story, but fair, the monarchy was terrible. Thankfully, Amadeus still got to keep his job as a royal guard, while Rosemary joined the newly formed council alongside fan-favorite characters like Chuck, Rotor, the Platypus Girl, and Hamlin Pig. While his parents were in space, Tails had an uncle named Merlin, who is just Merlin as a fox, and that was before Black Knight came out and they didn't make Merlina a fox. That would make this game peak. Why not make Tails into Merlin or Merlina? Wouldn't have been the first time Tails cross-dressed. Only other foxes in Archie are Lee Moon from the Dragon Kingdom, whose grandpa is a lion, and Foxy Reynard, who worked with downtown ebony hair. The Gangster Rabbit, who's responsible for putting LSD in chili dogs, which led to Charmy's stupid friend dying. And yes, this is the second time I mentioned the LSD dog. We can never escape this fact. The Fleetway comics are getting their own segment because, like how Archie gave us the extended lore for Knuckles and his terrible Echidna family, Fleetway gave us something similar with Tails and the Nameless Zone. Also, I have been reading a ton of Fleetway. It's probably the funniest thing I've read in a while. I love the writer's commitment about not following the basic game lore and just making shit up. I love the fact that most of the scans of the old comics also involve other Sega comics, and strangely enough, the second longest series based on a Sega game wasn't any of the classics, but it was Decap Attack. I can go on, like Amy Rose having a crossbow, Knuckles' Nike Fur logo actually being a bracelet, original characters having human proportion compared to the chubby baby video game cast, the 1-Up television with the Sonic face is actually a demon clone, and an evil Super Sonic whom the fanbase have shipped with a tall black cat witch. Also, Fleetway is responsible for many cult favorite characters characters, and from what I can tell, none of them are that hated like a majority of Archie and IDW characters. Like, Captain Plunder is just some random pirate guy, but he got his own side stories. This does not feel like Sonic anymore, and I love it. Anyway, Fleetway Tales, unlike his game counterpart who became more tech savvy, cause Porker Lewis and Techno the Canary already exist, Tails goes to the Nameless Zone that's inhabited by goblins, centaurs, and foxes, where he goes on King Quest-esque adventures. Whoa! Look out, Tails! A poisonous snake! Most of the time, Tails gets summoned to the Nameless Zone by the village elders and or the Enchanter Kings, because Tails may have lied about being a brave hero and that Sonic is a psychic. One time, Knuckles pretended to be Sonic just to make Sonic look bad, which... fair. The Enchanter Kings once asked Tails to help them fight the Evil One, a demonic entity who turned one of the kings, Shirop, into the demon Throck. But fortunately, Tails gets assistance from the local hero of the Nameless Zone, Errol Blackthorn, and her hot-tempered younger sister, Moraine. The other time Tails got summoned was by Shaman Warpole, the magician who creates magic portals, to ask Tails to help the village save two fox brothers, Jimmy and Jilly, who were kidnapped by goblins. I know this one. All you have to do is sing and step on their toes. Maybe if their mother knew this, maybe she could have saved them. Stupid bitch. And that's all the foxes in the Sonic Hedgehog franchise. There are also Fennecs, but there are like 6 of them and only 2 are noteworthy. Sonar, who is part of the Desert Raiders alongside Spike the Porcupine and Trevor Burrow the Mole, who are big fans of Sonic, but are also working with Nephthys the Vulture, a member of the Egg Bosses, who is one of the good people working under Eggman and works with the Desert Raiders, who are freedom fighters of Midesta and are only pretending to fight to keep peace between both sides. If you understand anything I just said, I just want to say that I love you and I understand your pain. The other one is Kitsunami, or Kit for short, a cyborg with hydrokinesis who was made by Dr. Starline to be a better version of Tails, but was made by a person who only watched the masked video game parodies and assume that's what he's like. If you feel like Anti-Miles and 9 didn't go anywhere and you need your dose of canon Tails but evil, Kid is probably the closest thing to a perfect version of that specific niche. Honestly, I prefer Surge, who is just Scourge, but better.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
Okay, video's over. That's all. Oh wait, I forgot Patty from the Shogakukan manga. Tails crossed that.